Hey guys, what you learning about? Ooh, look at this fancy tool and this doodad.
Alright, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to be going over the engine that's going to be going into the 4Runner. So this is a Volkswagen TDI ALH engine. As you can see, it's kind of missing a lot of components. So I got this as a parts motor with another ALH engine that I got. So this one had a time belt failure, so it kind of foobarred the head. So it's all damaged all in here. So I got another head from the junkyard to go on here. So this head is basically junk. Yeah, there's a lot of damage in these bore holes that warrants this head as useless. Some other things that make this engine not good for like a Volkswagen application is that the ear for this bolt hole is broken off. This is a common issue with these blocks. There's not enough material there, and this is one of the bolt holes for like an engine mount on this side. So on my Rabbit TDI, this bolt hole is also kind of broke off, and I re-welded it on. I've done it twice now to keep it together. For the 4Runner, that hole is not needed. Don't care about it. We're going to be putting engine mounts on the side of the block, so everything is good for that. A lot of the other components I've kind of gone to the junkyard here and there and have gathered. So I got a lot of the front dress. I have all the side components. The back doesn't really matter. I got an injection pump that's going on this. I'm going to be converting this engine to MTDI, so mechanical injection. And that's just my preference. I want this engine to just be simple in the truck. The truck's an 87, so I just want everything to be simple, no electronics to mess around with. I know like the electronics probably wouldn't cause me any issue when it's all done correctly. I've had a TDI engine and it ran great, but then it did start giving me troubles with electronics. It was a simple fix, but I'd rather not worry about it, rather just go mechanical and have it all just work. So that's what I have in my Rabbit pickup truck. It has a mechanical injection ALH engine in it, and it just runs great. It idles great, it starts up perfectly, it revs, it has plenty of power, so not worried about it. So for this engine, I'm doing the exact same thing. So this will be a little bit different in the turbo setup for this one than the Rabbit. So for the exhaust and turbo setup on this one, I have an exhaust manifold from Passat BHW. So that will kind of put the turbo up much higher, which will be good for the 4Runner, where the ALH would have it kind of tucked in down here. And then you get into starter clearance issues and exhaust routing. So the BHW will have the turbo up a little bit higher, give it a little bit more clearance. So that will be one thing that I'll do different on this engine than what's in the Rabbit, which is just a stock ALH exhaust and turbo setup. And that will also help it have a little bit more power. So this engine should be a little bit more powerful than that one, is kind of the goal. So since this head is all screwed up, we're going to need to make sure that the bottom end is good. So we'll measure the projection coming up out of the block to make sure that we don't have a bent rod or anything in there. So we'll do that next. Alright, since this block was known to have a timing belt failure and destroyed the head, one of the things that I want to do is make sure that I don't also have a bent rod in here. So we'll go through each piston, measuring the protrusion that comes up out of the block and make sure that that's all kind of the same along each one. All right, so from the Bentley manual, we got this table right here that has the projection numbers. So this was a 2-hole, so our number should be somewhere between 101 and 110 millimeters coming out. So I'll go through and see if we're close to those numbers. All right, so the setup I have is not completely ideal, but it should work. I have this kind of squared up to the block. I got it zeroed right now on the top of the deck. So then I'll move it over top of the piston. We'll bring the piston up and we'll see kind of what we get.
To do the piston projection is pretty simple. Just rotate the engine over. You're looking for the highest reading on the gauge. It's good to rotate the engine over back and forth a couple times to make sure that you are getting the highest reading. I went ahead and did this on each of the cylinders just to make sure that every piston was within tolerance of the Bentley manual. Overall, everything checked out really well. They were on the little bit of the lower side of the tolerance, but I believe that this engine will be fine for the use in the 4Runner. Additionally, I did check out the crank and the rods and pistons from the bottom side of the engine, made sure that there was enough play in the rods, that everything looked good, didn't see any cracks or any noticeable signs of damage in the bottom end.
Next steps for this is to get everything kind of disassembled off of it, get it clean, get it painted, and then we can actually start assembling this engine to go into the 4Runner.
Like and subscribe.